Everyone knows that I'm a massive fan of Panty and Stockings, so let's just cut to the chase. So, a new trailer for the second season came out today, or should I say, new Panty and Stocking, since that's what it's literally called. And I gotta say that I wasn't expecting this to be made in this terrible decade of misery and boring shit, but I do have my gripes, which I will get to later. Because first, I want to say that in terms of animation and art, it hasn't changed too much. Art has changed a bit to where the style looks a bit cleaner than the original, which is a good thing. However, I would be lying if I were to say that I am super hyped that this is going to be like the original. Hmm. I'm standing between yes and no. Yes, because it's Japan and it's not as heavily cucked as anything made in the West for the past 10 years. They're sticking to their roots for the most part and doing what the weebs love the most. They're even sticking to their roots of old Western comedy like the Three Stooges. Granted, I've always been more of a fan of Western comedy. Ahem, old Western comedy, but that's besides the point. Point is that it's not going to heavily miss the mark, unlike some revivals that are, let's just say, are shit. The Animaniacs and Rocko's Modern Life reboot.
Man, it sure did take long for Rev Big Head to join the 40% transgender suicide rate.
That's why the right man for the job is always a woman.
Get back in the kitchen.
Well, that didn't work out for you in the long run, didn't you, feminist bitch? Trump beat two women and is now president of the United States, bitches. Now you got to go back to the 50S and 60S and make the man a fucking sandwich.
Cook the man some fucking eggs.
Start yourself, Jake!
And no, because, well, yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. They changed Garter Belt's pink lips to match his skin color. Why did they do that? Well, the answer is pretty fucking obvious by now. But that's a strange design change to make even for anime, which has been doing blackface for fucking decades. Even Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z and Jinx, he had his original design in the original poster and the teaser from 2023. So why the fuck did they change it, even though that they're in Japan and have been doing racist jokes for years? And they changed his lips in that same poster. Now, you snowflakes may be triggered over this stupid shit about a stereotype of a black person with huge pink or red lips. But to be honest, I don't see that as racist as everyone else thinks it is. Why? Because it's literally a realistic depiction of black people. No, I'm not kidding. Besides, even back in the 40S where Merry Melodies was making short films like Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs, who voiced those people back in the day? Jazz singers who were black? Geez, I never would have guessed. So it just goes to prove that back then, different races could actually make fun of themselves and take jokes. Imagine doing that in this day and age. That would be real diversity. But nowadays we have to spurg out over a digital drawing having pink lips, or what the fans call pink donut lips. I don't know about you, but doesn't the term donut lips sound racist to you? Imagine going up to a black guy and saying that he has donut pink lips. See, that's the thing with these retards. They're so fucking autistic that they're fixated on a fucking drawing having pink lips when some black people do have pink lips. Seriously. I've seen a ton of these autistic mouth breathers on Twitter complain about his lips, which gives me deja vu of how Chris Chan complained about Sonic's arms being blue. The tables have turned in this decade when potential insane asylum patients think it's okay to act like a spurgy autistic lol cow. The spurgy losers in question being the wokies who have pronouns and Palestinian flags in their bio. The people who I see on here a lot who claim to be fans of Panty and Stocking but want something to be removed from the original, either if it's something trivial or just something that made the original so unique, like the equivalent of saying that burgers are delicious but you want to remove everything great about them, being the trans fat. We call them fake fans, really. Vital it. But what's strange about this whole thing is that they never bitch about how he's clearly a pedophile. And that one part where Stalking Anarchy is eating crisps that were made out of ripped off baby's foreskin. This raises a lot of questions in that community. But that's the thing about Panty and Stocking is that thanks to the internet and the modern age, we now have a bunch of autistic weebs who dictate whatever is acceptable in media or now, which I can't stand the most. And by searching the words panty and stocking on Twitter, that's literally what I mostly see. But one can argue is that you're going to attract a bunch of SJW weebs into the community because they like Coomer shit, and colorful shit, and whatnot. So you're going to attract some flies here and there for that shit. However, I wouldn't have much of a problem if they didn't dictate what is acceptable and what isn't, thanks to his clusterfuck of identity politics and politically correct retards who love Japanese weeb culture but want to mix their woke ideology with it, like mixing gold with sewage. It doesn't fucking work like that, and it'll never will.
Listen, I love Panty and Stocking, okay?
We love Panty and Stock until they made Garter Belt and made him a minstrel. You're not wearing that mask pretty well, Tolkien black woman.
But this show really does not like black people.
Define hating black people. I just think you're full of shit. Oh, wait a minute. You are, and you literally look like shit too. I think my main problem is that I just don't like people like you.
A good chunk of this show is just two Asian girls disrespecting the hell out of a black man.
Is black, so we have respect for him no matter what. No mean-spiritedness allowed. No racist humor allowed. No racist humor good. BLM, which stands for banging local MILFs.
And yes, I know. I understand this show doesn't take it seriously. Panty and Stocking are mean to everyone. But this character, Garter Belt, is just awful. They could have still been living with that person in their church. But they could have went about it in a different way. And when I say go about it in a different way, I mean not be racist.
They'll be racist and cheat, boy. I'll put a cap in yo ass, bitch ass cracker.
Like literally, if you go on the Panty and Stocking Wikipedia, you'll look and it says this, written word for word, Garter Belt is a large black man with a massive afro.
He is a big fan of the show, and yet she misses the entire point of Garter Belt's character. Acting like black people having afros is a bad thing. Should they look like that Pussy Zoomer Miles and every single BLM low testosterone supporter, you're a fake fan, fuck off and go watch your DEI films. Panty and Stocking isn't supposed to be DEI. Get your head out of your ass and take a fucking hint. Fucking hell.
Like, yeah, right there, look. That Wikipedia screenshot I got right there, it literally says that. Also, I need to briefly mention this, that Garter Belt is a gay black man, which is not a problem, but the show makes it a problem because he's interested in young boys. There's literally a short where he's literally, trying to pick up young boys, and there is a boy in this show who's 18 years old. And he is, very inappropriate towards him. And I know that this is supposed to mirror how, preachers and pastors be very, disgusting towards the children in their churches and whatnot. But it really just made me uncomfortable watching it, especially that one episode where Brief accidentally swallowed Panty and Stocking. I just don't like Garter Belt's character at all. And also on top of the fact that he's just disgusting. He's also a criminal, and that we found out that in his backstory episode. So that just didn't make the black representation any better with this series.
Oh my God, we get it. You're a boring Dindu muffin who has no sense of humor and always thinks about race, gender, and religion over and over again because you were conditioned. It's not like Family Guy, South Park, and anything on Adult Swim did stuff like this frequently. Honestly, you must be real fun at parties if that's how you act. There's a reason why people think you're obnoxious. It's all fun and games till anime does offensive humor because of the fan base, which is comprised of SJWs and retarded coomers. Get out of your anime fantasy world and touch grass.
As this is the only black representation along with LGBTQ representation that we had in this show.
We do have LGBTQ plus representation in this show. We have Garter Belt, who is a map, and a homosexual man. Why the fuck are you complaining?
It was him. No.
Y'all, just look at Garter Belt's design. Does this ring a bell?
Your slave trader is ringing a bell telling you all to go back to the cotton field.
This is literally minstrelsy. Garter Belt literally has a minstrel character design, because I remember somebody had brought up to me the other day, they were like, y'all, all the black people in Panty and Stocking look ugly as hell. And I was like, I really do agree. That's why you see so many black edits of Panty and Stocking, because the few black people that we did get in this show look atrocious.
Black people look atrocious? That's some old Uncle Ruckus self-hating black person right there. I think you're projecting yourself onto a pair of drawings. In the might words of Sargon of Akkad, I wouldn't even rape you. It's funny how I'm mostly complaining about this very change in this segment because, as far as I know, the show was heavily inspired by Drawn Together. The humor was inspired by it, which is rather odd since Drawn Together got away with way worse shit than this. I could imagine if they were to watch that show, they would go completely fucking bonkers and call for cancellation. The reason why I mention this is because it was clearly a shock humor type show, which the wokies would clearly have an issue with. There are a lot of reasons why I am concerned about how the reboot is going to be. Like, is it going to be more offensive than the original or just as unapologetically offensive? Or is it going to be toned down to bend the knee to leftist Western weebs who don't even watch anime? Because from what I'm seeing as potential foreshadowing is the twin twick femboys with nail polish. Now, I know how people are going to react. Like, it's pandering to the woke mob. Really, it's not. That's not me gaslighting. The polyester male stripper thing has been a thing for a century. Hell, I could also say that the whole polyester thing is a kimono-like thing some Japanese men wear. But to me, it's something to be concerned about, considering that we have fake fans dictating what is acceptable and what isn't. Will it be as safe, edgy as Has Been Hotel in Helluva Boss by alienating its sane side of the fan base? Or would it be actually edgy like the original? That's my biggest worry about how this is going to turn out. On July the 4th, if it happens to be as offensive as it's intended to be, so be it. They got the job done. But if it's the latter, then well done, retards. You ruined the anime into being a generic Vivzy Pop mess, and fuck you all for ruining it with your degeneracy and overall spastic ideology that has made 95% of entertainment into a generic slop, boring, recycled mess with people who care about racism, sexism, and whatever 100% of the time. And to be about as forgettable in the next month. But like I said, I highly doubt that the latter will be the case, considering that it's Japan, for fuck's sake. Which is funny I mention that since the fans want the original English voice actresses to come back. Fuck that. Not after what they try to do with Vic and their SJWs too, as well as the other losers who run Funimation these days. Anyways, that's all I've got for today. New content and animations are coming soon. Take care, you fuckers.